Howdy folks, I'm Colonel Sanders and you're not. The biscuit recipe came from the book. I showed you guys the cards from the 60s. 2 years ago, I made a video saying I was being sued by KFC. You want to know how to make their biscuits. Everybody lost their freaking mind, but they didn't realize the recipe I leaked was Joe Ledington's, and they didn't realize the biscuit recipe has been public for years, and it's not the one that they use today. It's an old one that Uncle Harley used. And they remade the book like this, and you can get it at the Sanders Cafe. It was her first time going there to learn about Uncle Harley. And anybody that's ever said that she's not related.
I'm related.
Tell them about the trip.
It was good. There's a lot of stuff to take in, though. All I know is their chicken's freaking good.
They gave us free food again. That's the one place that I could say that we get free food just for being related. And no other franchise does that. It's not a thing for the family to get free food. It's part to do with the stuff that I do online for them, and it's the part to do with being related. They always do the best thing. Bill Hale is one of the greatest regional managers I've ever met. And they are the reason why I like KFC now. You've always liked KFC. For 8 years I had an issue with them, but then we made up after we went there last year. But yeah, this book you can buy at their gift shop. They got all kinds of goodies in it. You got the pecan pie, you get the butter thin pancakes, you get the French fried parsnips, cauliflower, all this. I think the Claudia Sanders Dinner House still serves some of these things, but this book was originally published to promote Kentucky Fried Chicken. It even says it on the back. This book of Colonel Sanders' favorite recipes was reproduced from the originals used to promote Kentucky Fried Chicken throughout America. And that was in the 1950s and 60s. This was produced in 2022. They reproduced it.
And then we went to the Sanders Park. A lot of stuff to take in there. Liked it.
The park is small, though.
It is.
When I first went there, I thought it'd be bigger, but it's still cool. They have a memorial thing. It's a memorial park to remember people that contributed to Corbin's fame and growth. Uncle Harley just happens to be one of the biggest ones, so they put a big bronze statue in the middle and called it Sanders Park and put a lot of history about him. But if you walk around the bricks, you'll see that there is a lot of things to read about and the people that were involved in Corbin, Kentucky, and the history, and to help produce that park. They gave us new pins. I'll be wearing this one. I got a second one of these. You could only get these pins at the Corbin Museum unless somebody starts to sell them on eBay.
I got to experience the kitchen. It was old. He also uses a three-handed clock. Well, I was confused. I was like, what the heck is a three-handed clock? And I look on the wall and there's a huge clock, but it didn't look like there was three-handed.
I have to look at that more because I didn't even know. That's something I didn't know about that I learned. So we teach them museum things. They teach us things. And corporate's trying to pay more attention to that museum, too. I hear that they're actually trying to get involved in there now. So that's pretty good. Because last year when I was there, they said they wish corporate pay more attention to that location. So
it's a really good place to go.
They made sure the floors were clean. They gave us a tour of the place. We got to see all the old memorabilia. Got to see some of the new stuff. I don't really care for the actors that... Like, I like the actors, but I don't care for the portrayal of Uncle Harley. That's what I had an issue for 8 years that I talked out against them for. They do have that in the museum, but it is part of the history, so they preserve it in there. But that museum does a really good job at upholding his history. And there's a lot of people that they hire in our generation that don't think Uncle Harley was a real person. They say that, and then they learn about him while they're there working. I even got to meet, I don't forget her name, and I wish I remember her name, a new employee there that was really excited to see us. And we took a photo with her, but I cannot remember her name. So if you're watching this, leave a comment.
I think it started with a T.
It wasn't Tina. Tina was the...
No, not Tina. I think it started with a T, though.
Trish?
Maybe.
If you're watching this, comment below. You got to excuse the different scenery, because all my stuff is still in Maine. So we're gonna wait for that stuff to come before we start making videos normal again. Anyways, Bubba Hall told me to come to Corbin, Kentucky. He called me a Yankee, not knowing I was born in Kentucky. Told me to come call him a liar to his face. I came. Bubba Hall wasn't there, Joe Ledington wasn't there, and Johnny Miller wasn't there.
You gotta keep you away from Johnny Miller.
But yeah, 2 years ago I made that video saying I was doing stuff for Lee's, and for people that don't know, I don't do things for Lee's anymore. They dropped me. They didn't want to work with me, and we moved on from that. And a door opened with KFC. We made up, and we're going with that now. I was wearing my Lee's uniform, and I I said, this is going to require a suit, and I put the suit on. And I ran that joke several times. I get that gets old. I understand that gets old. But it also gets views. But you want to know how to make the biscuits?
Yeah.
It's a cool book.
It is.
And people that know Uncle Harley did wear a black suit before.
They also give us like tons of gifts. Well, not tons, but they give us a bag of everything in their shop.
They gave us stuff that was in the shop, which was nice of them. They didn't have to do that. When we go there, we don't expect things for free. I wanted to show my family the history there. I wanted them to meet Bill Hale, great regional manager, and I wanted them to see the town.
Really a great person.
I wanted to show everyone the town and what the history there was. So that's why we went. Stay tuned, because I'll probably be doing some work for them in the future. If it's not for KFC Corporate, it'll be for JRN. Last time our father was there, it was 1990 when they first opened the museum as a museum. John R. Neal. And I think Bill said John R. Neal passed away 3 years ago.
Yes.
It's operated by his brother and his sons today. They do a great job. I really like Tyrone. But yeah, our father was there in 1990 for the centennial celebration after Uncle Harley died. And he was telling us, and it'd be kind of cool to have him in the video too, but he ain't here. He was telling us when Uncle Harley was alive, him and our Uncle Alan, his brother, when they went to, it was a buffet style, so it was one of the KFC buffets, either in Indiana or Kentucky. He said that Uncle Harley would say, just go in there, get you what you want to eat, and don't worry about paying for it. And that's kind of what this reminded him of, except it wasn't buffet style. We just were told not to worry about it, which was nice. Again, we don't expect free things. We don't expect special treatment. It just happens to be how it is. People always ask, do we get free food? People always ask, are we rich? We're not rich. Only get free food at one location, and it's not guaranteed every time, and we'd be happy to pay for it because they have great quality there. I do recommend the Corbin location. I recommend you check it out, and that is the first Kentucky Fried Chicken. I don't care what Salt Lake City, Utah says. P. Harmon was the first yes for the franchise, and it was the Harmon's Cafe with KFC being implemented into Harmon's Cafe. And KFC in Corbin was the Harlan Sanders Cafe, or Sanders Court and Cafe, and that was implemented in Kentucky Fried Chicken products because it was started in 1952. And it wasn't until 1955 that he had to close his service station and his restaurant and start franchising across the country. Now, from 1952 to 1955, Harmon and Uncle Harley were operating Salt Lake City, Utah, and Corbin, Kentucky, with the restaurant and Kentucky Fried Chicken products. So that's why Corbin is the first Kentucky Fried Chicken, and Salt Lake City, Utah is the first franchise of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Two different things, because it was founded in Corbin, Kentucky, and it was made in Corbin, Kentucky. That's why it's called the birthplace. And Salt Lake City, Utah, I don't think you've seen the photos of it. It says the world's very first KFC, but it's the world's very first KFC franchise. Just like Jack Pirtles in Tennessee, Cousin Lee got him started. He was serving Kentucky Fried Chicken alongside of his Jack Pirtles products. He had Geno's Chicken and Burgers, which was serving Kentucky Fried Chicken alongside of Geno's Chicken and Burgers products. You had Carter's, you had, I think, Champs, and there was a few other restaurants that, some don't exist anymore today, but were operating Kentucky Fried Chicken licenses to sell Kentucky Fried Chicken products. It wasn't until Brown and Massey took over in '64 that they started to phase out the joint restaurants and make them standalone stores. Why I know that, I don't know. Anyways,
That's a highly recommended place to go to. It stays busy.
yeah, about noon on Sundays. During the weeks, they're not as busy. So if you don't want a crowd, you can go during the weeks. However, I told them I send my followers, so if you want to go see them, go during the week. Sundays are the busiest days. Right afternoon, about when church lets out, a lot of people are flooding through.